welcome back to Currumbin Valley Canvas and Clay. In the previous video I showed you how to cut out a template from a slab that you had rolled out we used our little birdie template. So that's the bird's body and the wing. Okay, today in this video I'm going to show you how to attach those, put them together so that they look as one, and then show you how we can decorate it a little bit more as well. So on the first video I showed you how to put the texture on. I used a rolling pin for that with the texture. I did have the same texture on the wing as well, but I've decided to change my mind and use some of these lovely little leaves that I picked up at a craft shop. They're really, really dainty, but they will put a nice little pattern on our wing. So I'm just going to lay those down and press them in a little bit so they don't, so you can position them where you want them. I think they'll be nice on the wing actually. It's always a good idea to put it the vein side down onto the clay. It just makes a better impression. A few of them flying away here. And just press them down gently with your thumbs. You can also use your rolling pin to get a nice even impression. That should be good, and I will do that. So this is just a normal rolling pin from the kitchen. Obviously not in the kitchen anymore. Anything that gets left lying around in my house usually ends up finding its way into the studio, which I love. Reusing, recycling. Okay, so as you can see, I'll just release that from the board. I've just rolled those little leaves, fake leaves, into the clay, but you can use real leaves. You can use anything, found objects from the garden. They do just as good a job. Lavender makes a beautiful impression, lavender flowers. Take those off. You can see it's left a gorgeous texture. When we glaze that, that will capture the glaze and create some beautiful effects. Okay, the next thing is make sure you compress around the outside. If there's any cracks forming, you need to smooth those out. Okay. Alright, just excuse me for a sec. Just grab my little serrated rib. I use that to create some scoring, because we actually need to slip and score in order to join our bits and pieces together. So once you've compressed the edges and you're happy with that, next thing is to start slipping and scoring. So with my serrated rib, you can use a stiff brush, an old toothbrush, do the same thing. I'm just roughing up the surface. I'll just work it, I'll lay that here on my bird and see where I want that to sit. Just make a few little marks with my tools so I know where I need to score it with my rib. It doesn't matter that there's texture on there, that's fine. I usually go in two directions at least. Okay, see that? With my paintbrush and a little bit of water. You can obviously just dip your brush into a pot of water if you want to. Okay, when you wet the clay like this, you'll see that it creates like a milky kind of consistency on the surface. That's called slip. And that's like the glue for ceramics. It helps things stick together, so we're after that. Do the same thing on the surface here. too much. But just having that little cross hatching helps it to kind of stick together. And place it, just using the marks that I made as a guide before. A little bit of pressure, wiggle into place until you find that it's sticking. And then I'm just rolling my fingers from the middle to the outside, just to make sure I get, you'll see a little bit of the slip coming out from underneath. That's what you want. Okay, until it's got a really good attachment, that's not going anywhere. Then just with my brush, I'm going to seal around the outside join. This neatens it off, but it will also create a nice seal so that the slip has been wiped away, because if there's slip left there, it will tend to dry quicker and create a crack, and you don't want that. Okay. Last thing we need to do for our little birdie is to put an eye in. Okay, so what I'm doing for that is just a straw. I've got a paper straw here. I'm just going to choose a spot. I'll put the straw right in down and then twist it around so that the straw actually collects the clay from inside. Okay, and I'll use that hole to hang it up by. But I've also decided that I want to put some macrame hanging off the bottom of it, so I've got just a little bit of pipe that I had lying around. I'll use that. It creates some nice large holes, so I can use some big thick macrame wool, which always looks really nice. I'm just going to put 4 holes down the bottom, and I'm not going to go too close to the edge. Three, and it's the same principle as the straw. Collects the clay as you go along. Okay, so you can see where the macrame string is going to go, and the textures work beautifully on the wing and the bird. So I can see that hanging up in my garden shed quite nicely. Maybe even with some of my little birdies attached into the weaving, the macrame weaving. I'll just put some holes in for the eyes for the birds. This will also give me an opportunity for them to be hung up through there. Then it's important to let everything dry nice and flat. If you want them flat, of course you don't have to have them flat. I do like my things to dry flat, so I put them in between a couple of these wooden boards. Until they're dry, and that will keep them nice and flat. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on how to make a nice cute little birdie design out of a slab. It's not difficult at all, and it's really rewarding and so relaxing. Until next time, this is Alison from Currumbin Valley Canvas and Clay. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Bye for now.